From the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, to around the globe. You're listening to Shark Bite Biz, your exclusive place for business strategy, sales, marketing, and tech in the roaring 20s. And now, here's your host, David Strausser.
It's time for the newest episode of Shark Bite Biz. I'm your glamorous host, David Strausser, and this is your place to learn how to grow a business during global chaos. Working from home? Yeah, that is chaotic. IT right now is so important. So we've got a help desk slated episode for you all though today. First though, remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can join the channel for only $3 a month. You can become a baby shark, you help this channel grow, you get some cool perks. Now, if doing things through big tech isn't your thing, don't worry, we got you covered. Head on over to deadhousecoffee.com. Use the code SHARK, okay? That is SHARK, like Shark Bite Biz, and you'll get 20% off of your order, and all the proceeds from deadhousecoffee.com help this show grow immensely. Your support, your purchases have been amazing. Keep it coming through, and we'll keep getting better episodes. Now, I got two other quick announcements. Apple, they had their new iTunes Podcast Connect thing. I'm not an Apple guy, obviously, so I don't know all the details. I just know that we're listed there. You can find the show. All you got to do is go to iTunes Podcast Connect, look up Shark Bite Biz. You will get the full audio of each and every episode that we release. Or if you're an Android person like me, easily go to the Google Play Store. Search for Shark Bite Biz. In fact, the link is in the description below of this episode. And you will get the app that has every audio and every video that we end up releasing. Now let's get back to today's show, okay? We're going to be talking about pandemic-related IT challenges because there are so many with everybody working from home, people working remote. You know, I've heard of people even working through the pandemic through Fiji, you know? So with the whole security, ransomware, all that stuff, you know, it's never a better time than right now to have an episode like we have today. Plus, as an added bonus, there's a pretty amazing business story here from a serial entrepreneur. Again, one of our favorite words in this show, serial entrepreneur. We're going to hear about today's guest, all the lessons that he learned throughout owning 3 different businesses. So it's really business advice at its best. So who is today's guest? Oh, so glad you asked. Jon Schram. Jon Schram is an IT support expert and the founder and CEO of The Purple Guys, a tech company that has grown since 2001 to become the Midwest premier provider of IT support services. The Purple Guys is a fast-growing 7-digit business that has helped hundreds of companies grow by solving their IT problems and providing them with stress-free, bulletproof tech support. Jon and his wife, Jill, have 3 children and have founded 2 businesses together. This is an amazing story. You're going to love the interview. So let me shut up. Let's bring Jon on in here.
Tech for your biz.
Jon, welcome to Shark Bite Biz. You, my friend, you just became Shark Bait.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so great interview. I can't wait to talk to you.
Yeah.
You're one of my favorite topics as far as IT challenges, managed services, stuff like that. So why don't you kick it off though? Okay, we have a tradition on the show. Very first question is always, what's your experience? What's your background? Basically, tell me, what's the secret sauce that makes Jon Jon?
I don't know that there's a secret sauce, but I'll give you the background. So from the business perspective, the way I describe myself is I am an unintentional serial entrepreneur. So I've had 3 startups from scratch. The startups have all been amazingly successful from a business perspective. And the first two were amazingly unsuccessful from a partnership perspective. So I've got the scars to prove it. But had two, wildly successful startups early on and wildly unsuccessful partnerships. And third time's a charm. Purple Guys has been fantastic, and it's been my career for 20 years. So it's been a fun ride.
Wow. So what you just said there, I think is important. I just want to dig deeper there because people that listen to this show, they're entrepreneurs, they're business owners, or they want to be, they're managers, directors, they do things like that. And I think one of the big things is it's important to have the right team around you and to have cohesiveness and working with the right people. In fact, for my day job, we were just talking about this with what I do for Vision 33. I always tell a prospect, there's two ingredients to this, okay? The first one is the solution. You've got to make sure that the software that you're buying is right. But even if you do get the right software, you still need that second magic ingredient, which is the partner to implement the system for you.
Yeah.
Because if you mess up one of those two, you're going to have a failed implementation. That's the same thing with starting a business. And it sounds like you had the right idea, but the wrong people.
Oh yeah, I had the right idea. Yeah, I'll give you a few more details since you asked. So
no. Well, you opened the door. You opened the door.
I did. Yes. So the first startup, really, there's three of them. So the first startup was actually a branch office. So I am now in Kansas City, and my wife and I decided we wanted to live in Kansas City. She grew up here. I did not. We were both living in Chicago. We decided, all right, let's make a proposal to her boss to open a branch office of his firm. We did. So I am a detail type person. So I wrote the business plan. My wife is kind of an incredible salesperson. Wrote the business plan, took it to her boss. He's like, great, we'll do it. 38-page operating agreement explaining how we were going to split the profits of this fabulous new office we were going to start. We came to Kansas City in April of 1996. And by October of 1996, we were on $1 million run rate, and we were wildly successful, which adhered perfectly to my business plan, by the way.
Wow!
But
we got that right.
But it did shock the business owner, and at that point in time, he said, "Well, according to our operating agreement, I'm going to pay you more than anybody else in the company." And I said, "Well, I did the math ahead of time. That was actually on my proposal." He's like, "Well, I can't pay you that." So we chose to leave. So that was the first failed partnership.
Hold on a second. Doesn't that suck? I was just.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So I want to take a step back. You probably don't know this about me, but my audience does. I contribute with Forbes.com as part of their biz dev council. And one of the things that we actually just talked about was sales reps, commission structures, and stuff like that, which is a different topic than what you're doing. But I think the mentality of what he had is the same thing that I actually wrote about one of my bullet points to give my advice out as, which is, don't put caps on people. Don't be greedy. If someone is making you more money, even if it's making, more money than you are, your number one paid employee more than, that's probably because they're doing something good and they're doing it right. What you want to do is learn from that and get that to the other areas of the business. And then you all rise. Don't punish somebody for being successful. And that's exactly what my point was. And that was about sales commissions again. But I think that goes to your point right there.
Oh, if you've got the appropriate incentive plan, and in my opinion, that one was appropriate, everybody wins. There's nothing that makes me happier as a business owner than writing gigantic commission checks.
Oh, same here.
Properly structured, it is a win-win-win across the board. It is something to celebrate all day long. I have never understood business owners that complain about how much their salespeople make. It's that only lives on their shoulders. Like, you either set it up wrong or like get over yourself. Like, I mean, the whole point is to make the cash register ring and grow the business and create more opportunity.
Exactly. So yeah, thanks for that. And then you were going to jump into your second one quickly.
So the second one, so we exited that business. We got started another business, and these were both in the IT staffing world, by the way.
Yeah.
So we started a second business and got into business with my wife's uncle. So in hindsight, we didn't need a business partner. We'd actually proven that we could do it on our own. But being young and naive, thought, oh, we still need somebody to kind of lean on. So we leaned on my wife's uncle. And this time was a one-page operating agreement because it was family. So that's second lesson learned. But ultimately, it doesn't matter how long the operating agreement is. That business, we went 0 to 10 million in revenue and 0 to 90 employees in a 4-year period.
Wow.
And the more successful we got, again, this is shades of the first one, the more successful we got, the more belligerent her uncle got about no way. And again, it was one-page operating agreement. It was like, hey, we just really want some seed money. We want to essentially own this ourselves. So, after the first year, we were successful. And again, we were on a rocket ship growth, but he's like, no way I'm letting go of this. So anytime we would bring up hey, what's this going to take to figure out the buyout? Like we talked about, he got ruder, and the family dynamic was deteriorating. So we decided to resign from that company. And timing being everything, we resigned our position in the company on September 10th, 2001.
Wow.
Next day's 9/11.
Yeah,
so talk about putting all the angst and anxiety, and it was all about money and stuff. It immediately became all about money and stuff. So put it in total perspective. But we walked away from that business and got this business started.
Timing was definitely interesting there because obviously I think everybody listening to this podcast or watching it remembers what happens the next day. That was also, like comment. It was an impactful day for me there as well too, because it's really what catapulted me onto my journey. I moved down and lived in Mexico for about 15 years. And I was only 18. You're there making millions when in 2001. I just turned 18 in 2001. And it was about 6 weeks to 2 months after September 11th that I ended up taking a Greyhound because I was too afraid to fly at that moment, but took a Greyhound from a small little town in Pennsylvania called Pottsville, where is the home of Yingling beer for all those beer aficionados out there. America's oldest brewery, by the way.
Oh, wow.
And took a little bus from there all the way down. I took a Greyhound to Tijuana. I mean, seriously.
That's the start of a country song right there, for sure.
Oh, I'm telling you. It was so we actually didn't make it into Tijuana with the Greyhound because we met a guy in Las Vegas that after about 2 hours of asking him questions, it's me and my buddy, and we're 18, we're young, super dumb. And he's like, dudes, you guys are going to get yourselves killed. Come live with me. And we said, okay, let's do it. So we just got his brother to pick us up and take us down to their house. Didn't have keys to get in or anything. It's a funny story. In fact, I just told this on another podcast. They were asking my origin story, and I gave it to them. And it's the funniest story you'll ever hear. But so when I hear that and what you did, I think about how that time period also was one of change and transition for me as well. So now you're on your next business venture.
Yes.
First off, I got to say, I'm looking at it right now. The purple guys, the coloring purple is probably one of my favorite colors behind green, blue, yellow, orange, and black. And the logo, I love it. It's fun. What do you all do right now?
What do we do? We are the IT support department to 270 businesses here in the Kansas City metro area and 670 businesses nationwide. So those businesses range from kind of the 20 to 200 employees. And the way I got into this business was actually in my last business, that rocket ship growth, 0 to 90 employees. A long time ago, and my kids will definitely attest to a long time ago, I could actually do some technical things. And as we were going through that crazy growth, I was responsible for making sure people could still print, and I was also the president of the company. And it dawned on me that, hey, I probably have a better use for my time. So we were the IT staffing world, and I was just going to hire somebody, put them on staff internally. And one of the people that worked for me said, hey, I know somebody does this part-time. You should outsource our IT support. So I had an IT staffing company, and I outsourced my IT support to a two-man shop, and liked it. And that was my introduction to what I do now. Was I had outsourced it, and when I got this thing going, basically bought those guys out.
Funny how it all goes kind of full circle there in a way, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, you're in a very interesting industry, because with our industry, I kind of think that it's one of those things that people just don't generally like paying for. The IT budgets are usually slashed. People think that it should be cheap because you can access Google for free. How
That's
to
right.
get your printer to work or print that Google page should be free.
Yes.
What's your take on that? I'm sure you have some interesting stories.
My take on the what are you paying for, and this is actually the philosophy of the company as a whole. And we say it pretty much every single staff meeting, which I think for the hardcore technical people kind of irritates them. But my description of what do the purple guys do? We are a customer service company that happens to deal with technology. So what are people paying for is they're paying for access to the helpline. And then to most of our customers, if you ask them what do the purple guys do, we answer the phone when something doesn't work. And the something generally has an on-off switch in a screen. So I don't care if it's cloud, if it's Google, if it's your phone, if it's a laptop, the desktop. The general population is going to have I don't know how to make this thing work, and they got to have somebody they can reach out to. And that is what we do, and we do it really, really well. We do all of the other stuff wrapped around it, which a lot of people don't see, and the security and the updates and all that kind of stuff. But the customer service aspect of being friendly when you call, being responsive when you call, and then actually being able to fix it, that is what drives our economic engine. And I don't see the need for a help desk going away at all.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely imagine that. You said being friendly when you call. That's got to be frustrating sometimes in this industry.
Oh, it is. People aren't generally in a great mood when they call you because the technology doesn't work, and of course, it's our fault when we pick up the phone. And we've got we hire for people that have a high patience and that empathy, which usually doesn't come in the same package as someone with high skills in technology. They tend to be almost opposed to one another. So that is actually part of our secret sauce.
You probably get people like me, and I'm going to sound like an idiot for saying it, but it's truthful. Like, for example, I love T-Mobile, but say I have a problem, which I do, where my phone doesn't, the text messages are coming in delayed. Apparently it's because they're upgrading 5G servers around here, and it's on the way to being fixed now. But when I'm talking to these people, it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just because of what I do and the the immense knowledge that I have in this industry, how this stuff all works and stuff like that I am actually smarter than these people. But it's like, my God, trust me, I would have already done that. You are the absolute last step I would ever do of calling you guys for support. Okay. So if I'm calling you, it's serious. Okay. I've already restarted the phone. I've already, done all that stuff. You get a lot of that. How do you deal with that? I mean,
we get some of that. And it is still the have you rebooted it? Sometimes we have to ask that. There is the occasional is it plugged in, and I'm actually not kidding, because that has actually been the issue.
I'm sure.
Or the batteries ran out on the keyboard that happens to be wireless. Like, that actually is not really a technical issue.
I get it. I mean, you do have some people that they're not, and you have to balance it out. But for me personally, it drives me nuts.
Yeah, and it will. And I will tell you what our customers appreciate about us is one of the roles we play is we are that liaison. So when their internet provider is giving them the runaround, we just get on the phone and we have the technical talk.
Yeah.
So we can generally cut through have you tried yeah, we've tried all this. Let me actually tell you everything we've tried. And by the way, can we just escalate this to your boss? So we can generally get really faster response than they can from their vendors. And that's something we want to have live on our shoulders, because our whole motto is to provide stress-free IT support, which is easy to say, crazy hard to do.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I can definitely imagine. I should probably hire you guys so that way I can tweet less then, because that's usually how I get it fixed.
Yes.
But,
Well, if they're paying attention, tweeting helps. Yeah.
Oh, they
Some
do.
companies
They
don't
do.
pay
I
attention
tweet.
to it. Yeah.
I'd say most companies I work with, I tweet usually within a day max, depending the issue. I usually get a fairly good response, fairly easy. It helps me just cut through the red tape, especially if it's not super urgent and I just don't feel like spending hours of having to explain and re-explain and re-explain. Then they'll, usually it'll be like, hey, this is, the CEO's office or whatever. Here, let us get someone on this to get this fixed for you. Bing, bing, boom, done. It's like a shortcut for customer service, I found.
Yes.
But anyways, with this pandemic, we've been stuck in this COVID-19. Maybe we're getting out of it now. It seems like it.
Yeah.
And I hope we are, finally at the moment to where we can look at this and see that it's past us, but time will tell. But the pandemic has forced a lot of businesses almost overnight to digitally transform. How has your company had to help them adopt to that digital transformation of employees working from home, working remote, not all working within those four walls of one business anymore?
The transition from everybody coming to the same office to basically everybody just waking up, rolling out of bed, slipping their slippers on and being at work, we've helped define an appropriate work environment. I mean, there's the ergonomics of having a good chair to sit in, but there's also all the, having just a laptop doesn't mean you can be as productive as when you're sitting at your desk with 3 giant monitors and a full-size keyboard. So early on, we did whatever we could to just put Band-Aids on things, but then we helped come up with standards and talk to our customers like, all right, this is the world, we got to adapt to it. So what does an adequate work environment look like? You spent $1,500 or $2,000 on a laptop, but yes, you really do have to provide monitors and you really have to provide a keyboard. And do you want them to let them just drive into the office and pick it up and take it home, or you want to buy new? And then the other technology pieces that went along with that is, when they're all physically in one spot, you can kind of tighten down security on that one environment. But once everybody's distributed, you've still got to pay attention to the security in every individual environment. And that might be training people on what to look for. And I think just people let their guard down when they were at home, and, at least early on, they just kind of click on anything. But training people what to look for. So having that security aspect, we've helped transition people to, and then the pure reliance on the digital platform to stay connected. The stigma of doing a web call was gone, utterly vanished. It's just completely gone, which I think is a huge positive, because it's added to a
people turn their cameras on now too.
They do turn their cameras on now, and there's an efficiency to it. I am still excited about getting back to way more in-person meetings, because I think there's something that's been lost with that. But for the general quick, and especially IT support, they don't want to wait for us to drive there, like, ever.
Right.
They never did. So the ability to do it remotely, and if we have to do a video call to do it remotely, great. But that the remote enablement has been huge.
So with so many more programs, apps, stuff like that. I mean, we're in a world now where most things are going to be cloud-based or browser-based compared to a couple years ago, where it was like excuse me, perpetual, like on-prem type software situation. The change to having cloud-based and browser-based solutions, has that made this digital transformation for work from home, working remotely easier, you think?
Oh, the folks that had already started down the cloud path it was massively easier.
Yeah.
So, and that was pretty much our number one project pre-pandemic, was helping people migrate bits and pieces to the cloud. And now it just accelerated all that. So the more stuff that's out in the cloud, the easier it is to work from anywhere, because kind of by definition, it doesn't matter where you are, you've got access to the cloud as long as you get a decent.
Oh, that's what I tell my
connection.
salespeople. It's like, work from the beach, work from Disneyland. I don't care, be on your calls, be on your demos, do whatever you want. Just, I'm so when I had Soledad on Brian on this show and a lot of other people, I mean, that's one of the big things that we've been talking about is for many business professionals, a 9-to-5 workday, I think, is really outdated. It's more about workloads and deliverables and completing your task and your missions. Are you check marking all of that? I mean, if you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, I don't care if you work 8 hours. I don't care if you work 10 hours or if you work 4 hours. I just need this stuff to be done. That's what I'm paying you for. Get it done. And I really think that, the cloud, doing this remotely, working from home, all this stuff really enables people to work more efficiently and have a better work-life balance as well, too.
Oh, I think it has both the ability to give you more work-life balance, and it also has the ability to destroy your work-life balance.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the excuse of I'm not in the office. It isn't an excuse anymore.
No.
So I would agree that it's created a lot more flexibility, and there's certain positions that they're very metric driven. They have very defined deliverables, and there's other positions like pretty much our whole help desk staff and our service department. We've got to be on 8 to 5 Monday to Friday, and we've got to have actually some hours on the evenings and weekends. So that does tie you, but again, the flexibility of you don't have to be at your desk or really even a desk to be effective and do that customer service now. So it's made people more portable.
Are you seeing an increase of calls that are going to be more outside of the 8 to 5 traditional workday now because of that?
We've seen a little bit, but not much. We still have the occasional, in law firms are the ones I like to pick on, but 2 o'clock in the morning, working on a brief. It's like, can't you just go back to bed? I mean, come on. But
my printer doesn't work.
Yes,
I need to print this brief.
Yes, right now at 2 o'clock in the morning, we've had that call. So I
have oral arguments at the Supreme Court at 4 a.m. You guys are holding me up. Fix this. Oh, that'd be so funny.
And it's almost exactly that kind of a quote.
Wow.
So, but it's we really haven't seen a huge spike in calling us in the evening or on the weekends, but we've seen a little bit more. And we've extended our hours, and again, we've got options for customers that really need 24/7, but most of them still don't want 24/7.
Most of them don't.
Yeah.
We learned that too. We offer 24/7 services with our ERP support for the business one, or people are running that in the cloud for the AWS environments as well too. And the thing is, most customers don't need it. Really, the only people that do need it are people that are running more of a global type office, because they have locations in Philly, but also maybe, London or LA or, Thailand or whatever. Yeah. And they're the people that don't need it more than somebody who is just in one time zone.
Well, and even the time zones across the US,
it's only 3 hours.
Yeah, we've got customers across the spectrum here, and we do have one customer whose headquarters actually is in Japan. Now we don't interact with their corporate office all that much, but we have had need in the past. So, and again, the flexibility to do anything from anywhere actually helps free up and add to the work-life balance of, well, I don't have to be stuck at my desk, and absolutely don't have to be stuck in my office anymore to be effective.
No, I like it because it's like, hey, midday, if I need to, first off, I've always worked from home with Vision 33. I worked from home probably like the last 10, 12 years, something like that. And, I have the 3 monitors here. I have the sprawling desk. my office would look like any other traditional corporate office, except I got a lot more guitars. Um, but I like it to where before it was kind of like if I hopped out during the day because like, hey, I want to go spend some time with my kids. They just got home from school, take them for a walk real quick around the
Yeah.
block. Now I can do that. It's like if I don't have anything pressing, I don't have any calls set or whatever, just go do it. I want to
Yeah.
be taking a call tonight at 7 o'clock anyway. So why not?
Yeah.
And I think a lot more managers, owners, directors, executive leadership of companies are much more accepting of that and understanding of that type of stuff now than they were probably pre-pandemic. I mean, the pandemic was terrible, don't get me wrong, but there were some positive things that have come out of it because as a society, I think we were moving a little bit too slow down
Yeah.
the adoption road. And that's where it just gave us a big push like,
Oh
hey, this
yeah.
technology exists, use it.
Yeah.
Bam, see us tomorrow.
Yeah. It pushed it fast forward in a big way. And I think everybody got used to hey, have some flexibility around the kids because it seems like half of the population decided to homeschool.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on what
Well, a lot
you're
of places, it's not. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people didn't have choice. It was like out
correct.
here, it was mandated. There was nothing you could
Yeah,
do up
you had to
until
do it at
they
home.
opened up hybrid. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, with everybody working from home, what kind of new IT security risk does that open up for a business?
Well, depending, and so this is back to the cloud versus on-premise discussion. So
Hmm.
if the business is not already in the cloud, then you have to decide, all right, the stuff that was in our office that we used to actually literally have a wire through the wall plugged into
Uh-huh.
is now getting connected over the internet. So do you use a private VPN? Do you have just dial into the firewall? I mean, what's that connectivity going to look like?
Hmm.
And then same thing with the corporate assets. Like from our perspective, if it's a device that's going to connect into the corporate infrastructure, whether it's cloud or on-prem, it's got to be managed. It's got to have good antivirus. It's got to have patches. You got to train your people on what to look for. You need to have that security control extended to every single endpoint, and it's really important. The frustrating piece of as technology evolved and everybody went to home, I mean, the bad actors took advantage of that, just like they always do in any kind of a crisis.
Yep.
So the attentiveness to the security side of this has been even more important. I mean, anybody with a shingle hung out on the internet is a target,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
that's
Look at all
frustrating.
the recent ransomware
Yeah.
attacks. I mean, there has been what was it, Colonial Pipeline, I believe.
Yes, they shut
There,
down the
there.
pipeline, shut down the food
Hmm.
processing, and well, and even Google gets hacked. So there's it's
Yep.
not can you prevent it for sure? The answer is no, but can you
No.
minimize the damage? Can you teach people what to look for, and just make sure you're aware of what happens as it's happening, and teach your staff and your team on what to look for, so you can again
I got
minimize the
hacked.
damage. Yeah,
I got hacked.
yeah.
So you want to hear my story?
Sure.
Well,
What
you don't
happened?
have much of a choice, right?
Was this that's true? Yes. I
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
know if it was an email or did you
No, no. Actually, so I have my own little cloud server. I have a QNAP NAS
okay.
that I have here in my house. And it's nice. I got like 40 terabytes on it. The
Yeah.
podcast takes up a lot of space.
Yeah.
And basically, QNAP, I guess they had some kind of vulnerability in there.
Huh.
And it got some kind of backdoor virus, not just onto mine, but like everybody that was QNAP, because it was a vulnerability in the backdoor of their software, from what I'm understanding, and
Wow.
it automatically encrypted all the files. They stopped it, depending how many files you had on. They stopped it probably about halfway point with mine, but it got all the small files. So if I had like a picture, like say a thumbnail that we would use for the YouTube video of the podcast,
Hmm.
encrypted. Yeah, okay, it
Wow.
was totally encrypted, locked and key, and then it had the instructions on where to send Bitcoin. They were asking for about $700 worth of Bitcoin. But you want to know what they didn't know, John? They didn't know that I didn't delete my backups of the whole podcast on Google Drive yet, and it's still sitting at 99% full. So it's all there in Google
Yeah.
Drive. So I didn't actually have to pay anything.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't know if I'd want to, because, oh man, like you have to put that key in for every little file. So I'm talking
Oh
30,
yeah.
40, 50,000 files could be on there that I have to put that password into to decrypt. I'm never
Yep.
going to do that.
Yeah. So you had a backup to recover from, which is awesome. And that is
Yeah.
one of the things we make sure that our clients have. And I'm part of a CEO peer group here in town, and one of the smaller companies here. It's 40-person firm, and they've given me permission to share all of their details because if it can help somebody. But they basically make industrial cleaning.
Yeah.
Companies called Meyer Labs, and 40 people, 4 servers, backup servers, all on-prem. They got an infection in the office manager's PC somewhere in the July-ish timeframe. And it just sat there kind of dormant because there was nothing really great on that PC, but it was infected.
Right.
And then later on in the year, it was approaching kind of the Christmas timeframe. They were going to do a software upgrade to their main platform, actually their ERP system. And they use the local or the network administrator credentials to log into every workstation to do the upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
So they did that. And the software was constantly phoning home all this time saying, yeah, there's just still nothing here, still nothing here. When they logged in with the new credentials, it phoned home and said, hey, got some new stuff. Might want to check it out, because it now had the administrative password and credentials for the entire network. So over that weekend, after they did their software upgrade, and then over that weekend, they go home on Friday. Over the weekend, the bad guys dialed in, and they dialed into every single workstation, dialed into every single server, and actually dialed into the backup servers that were on premise, locked everything down. They came in on Monday, and they had to pay. So the original ransom was like $850,000. And the insurance company got involved, so they negotiated it down some, and they were actually able to get the decryption keys.
Do insurance companies pay for ransomware?
They do, yes. And that's one of the things when we're talking to a new customer and bringing them on board, it's one of the things I recommend everybody has is cyber liability coverage. It is not that expensive, although it's getting to be more expensive because more people are having to pay the ransom. But they had a professional negotiator out of New York on the phone, and I want to say they wound up paying like $650,000 instead of $850, but they'll negotiate. And the bad guys actually have a custom. The ransom people. Oh yeah, they'll negotiate.
How do they? I mean, you would think
it's an encrypted
you would just
chat back and forth.
Yeah, but why wouldn't? Okay, so look, I'm in sales. Okay,
yes.
Why, if I have you, if I'm holding you there like this, why would I negotiate and lose 200,000? Like, dudes.
Because they've figured out that people will try, if they make it too painful, people will just try to restore from backup. And the whole thing is, all right, if we can't get 750, we'll take 650. Or if we can't get $1 million, we'll take $750,000. They'd rather have some funds rather than people just say,
so that comes into
so they figured it out over time. Totally. Yeah. And the other thing is they have a customer service department. So these guys, they send them the decryption codes. A few of them didn't work, and they just sent it to their helpline. They're like, oh, so sorry, try these. And the crazy part at the very end of it was they actually wanted a recommendation to say that they were the good bad guys, that we did everything we said, that we said if you paid this, you'd get the decryption keys.
You just leave them a Yelp review or what?
Okay, kind of. They legitimately asked for that. So this is a business now, and
it is.
It's scary. That is the part. Everybody's a target too. Again, this is a small 40-person firm, been around for, I want to say they've been around for 30 years. Never thought they were going to be a target, but everybody's a target. And again, because the problem is enough people will pay the ransom. So there is now a cash flow stream going, and the insurance companies are now part of the business model. It's still really, really frustrating.
Oh, I can imagine. And that's where, if you look at mine with my QNAP NAS that got encrypted with ransomware, that they knew the market that they were going for. It was either going to be individual users or very small business users that are using these models. And they knew that market, that segment. They knew exactly what they were attacking. So who knows how long they were in the system to see what's there. And that's part of the reason why they must have picked that price point of $750 to $800, because if they did that for most individuals, unless it's stocked with Bitcoin keys, that's a lot of money for most individuals.
Yeah, totally.
So we do got to get going, but I do have two other quicker questions I want to ask you. The first one is, I mentioned it earlier with your color purple, your caricatures. I need to ask you because personally, I love it. If I was starting my own business, in fact, I just did start my own business, a coffee company, Dead House Coffee. And I went not with the colors, but like with the caricatures of the zombies and stuff like that and some brighter colors. I want to ask you, how has that impacted your business?
It has had a tremendous impact on our business. So early on, the name of the company was not Purple Guys. We had a purple logo. And this is my only really good individual marketing idea, was a purple pen that writes in purple ink. So we talked about my serial entrepreneur.
I should get you into my marketing department.
Yes. One of my other companies had a purple logo, and I got a purple pen that wrote in purple ink. So when I started this company, the only thing I knew was I wanted a purple logo so I could keep my purple pens. And 20 years ago, when we opened the doors here and did network support and IT support for small businesses, we had to do everything on site. So we had a team uniform, and we had a bunch of different colored shirts early on. And about, 6 or 7 months into the business, decided we needed a team uniform. So I got purple shirts because that was the logo color and that was the company color. And our customers actually started saying, "Hey, the Purple Guys are here." So we went completely rebranded the company, became the Purple Guys. And I'll tell you, from a small business perspective, what it does is you can't forget it. Like once, if I can get somebody to associate the color purple with computer support, IT support, the next time they are frustrated, which is going to happen because computers are involved,
right?
There are hats at least going to be in the ring for somebody they call to say, "All right, I heard about you. I remembered you. Can you help?" So it has created a tremendous amount of warm leads.
That's good. Yeah, that's almost like turning your name into like Google, for example. Like, hey, I'm just gonna go Google this or Google that. You're the Purple Guys. You get synonymous with something like that.
Yeah.
And that's a very, I think, powerful thing to have for any business. I think most businesses desire and strive for that for one degree or another in the back of their heads, but to actually be able to achieve that with what you are doing, I mean, that's pretty awesome. Congrats on that success.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun leveraging the color and the branding. The characters make it even more fun. You can do a lot of things with characters that you can't do with people.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I'm just gonna let that one there.
Yeah, we'll leave that there.
There. So last question is, this ties into the final question of how people can reach out to you, but also give us your pitch. I mean, the IT companies, like we talked about earlier on, it's one of the areas that not a lot of people like to spend on, or they like to minimize their budgets. They don't get it. So why don't you tell us about the importance of hiring not some dude that you found off Craigslist to update your computer stuff, but actually getting a true expert like the Purple Guys working on somebody's, business to help them unlock their full potential.
Well, and again, the world we live in, technology is not optional, and knowing that it works and it's going to work well is critically important. If you have any number of employees, somebody there is having an issue with their technology. So having access to a service that's a predictable spend. So we have very transparent pricing. So we make a lot of CFOs happy because they know exactly what it's going to be. We are incredibly responsive. And again, it takes a company to get to that size where when someone needs help, they want it now. They actually wanted it before the problem happened.
Responsiveness is key right now.
Yeah,
I think.
I think the responsiveness in terms of customer satisfaction actually is above having technical expertise. They just want to vent and let somebody else own the problem. So response time is hypercritical.
I'll validate that for you too, because Vision 33, that's been one of our biggest things. Like, hey, how do we show customers value post the initial implementation? And for us, what we found in our surveys and metrics and stuff was response time, because if they call in for support or they want to get something added on and it gets into our general consulting queue, it could be 2, 3, 4 days, a week till someone gets back to them because we're busy. Now we prioritize it. Everybody's guaranteed, within 24 hours, they're getting a response. And, we're being called out on that on very public email chains if we miss it. So it is something of very, very high importance to a lot of people.
Yeah. So fast, friendly, predictable, and getting all three of those in one package is tough to do, but that really is kind of our secret sauce. We've distilled it down to that. We've structured the business. We've structured all of our procedures. We've structured our pricing all around being fast, friendly, and predictable. And small businesses definitely appreciate that, and big businesses appreciate it as well. So
especially right now, with cost and stuff like that, skyrocketing everywhere around us. Having that predictable nature to it, like you were saying about the CFOs loving it. That is, I think, key. Nobody likes having a surprise bill, let alone a huge surprise bill right now.
And we talked about cloud. Everything in the cloud world is kind of a per user, per seat kind of a licensing. So, as you're adding a new team member, you're going to have a new license this and new license that. We fit that same model. We basically grow with them if they're growing, and we'll shrink with them if they're shrinking, and hopefully they're not shrinking. But some of that did happen in the pandemic world, and we've been able to grow right out of it. So I will tell you, we didn't really talk about this, but I'm massively excited about the small business, at least my little microcosm of it. People are thriving. I mean, small business in this country, and at least in the segments I touch, it's booming. I am super optimistic.
Well, I see the excitement oozing out of you, Jon. So tell us, how can people reach out to you?
purpleguys.com. So just the color purple, GUIS.com. Also Purple Guys on LinkedIn and a bunch of other social channels, but LinkedIn is kind of our primary social channel, and purpleguys.com has all of the other links to get a hold of it.
And it is with the word "the" in front of Purple Guys, right?
No, it is just Purple Guys.
Just Purple Guys?
We do own the domain The Purple Guys, which I believe redirects to us, but it's purpleguys.com. So just PURPLEGUIS.com.
Okay, perfect. Hey, Jon, thank you so much. We've had some laughs. We got some good info. Yes. Did you enjoy it?
It's been awesome. I appreciate it. Definitely didn't feel like shark bait, but I like it. This was great. Appreciate it.
Well, see, the bad stuff happens once we hang up.
Oh yeah, there we go. then it goes to the editing room.
Yeah, they'll cut everything out. But hey, thank you so much for coming on here. It's been awesome. I appreciate your time, Jon.
Awesome. Totally appreciate it.
Yeah. Cheers. Wow, that was an amazing chat with Jon, right? First, you all know the routine. If you found this interview helpful, if it sparked those warm and fuzzies, do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. But if you really want to do us a solid, okay? Remember, Shark Bite Biz is the best kept secret out there in the world of business. Please share this to your network. Help your friends on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, MySpace. If you're using MySpace, share it on MySpace, okay? Help your friends discover Shark Bite Biz so that they can learn personally, they can learn professionally, and they can help learn how to grow their business by hearing amazing stories like Jon just told us. I'd love to see nothing more than Jon Schram, the Purple Guys, and Shark Bite Biz out there trending. Now let's get back to our rock star Purple Guy guest, Jon, okay? So many things to unpack on this episode. First, the most obvious. Congrats to Jon and his wife for kicking butt and creating their own $1 million IT firm. The second, pretty simple, okay? To be known as the Purple Guys. To do it like a synonymous, kind of like having the title be like that. You get what I'm trying to say? Connecting those dots. I mean, it's kind of like when you go out and you, instead of saying, oh, I'm going to search for something on Google, you're just, hey, I'm Googling it. To be able to turn your product into a verb like that with the Purple Guys and how they did it, and they did it with their logo, that is incredible. I think almost every entrepreneur out there would love to be able to have an ability like that. And they were able to do it. This, husband-wife duo were able to do it in a way that really just connected with people, and when that's kind of ironic when I say that, because their job literally is connecting people to technology. So it really worked hand in hand. And that's an amazing job they did. Next up is, even though Jon said, in the very beginning of the interview that it's been a quote unquote, it's been a fun ride, but wow, what a ride it's been for him. Unintentional serial entrepreneur. He's on his third business. How many times have we heard that on this show? Look, we just had Sandro Bianconi, for example, who's been in multiple startup businesses that he started, like Hempacco right now. We've been on a lot of other guests on this show. Chris Craddock, his episode just aired, for example, too. Another serial entrepreneur. I mean, that is a special breed of human right there. And guest after guest, it just seems like you're born with this calling to where it happens by happenstance. It's kind of accidental to where you just follow the path that has been given to you. And it just means that you're a born leader, you're a born business person, and you're just going out there and doing the best you can and reaching all the dreams that you can in this lifetime. In Jon's case, again, from a business perspective, he's been extremely successful with 3 different businesses, okay? And it sounds like with the second business, he definitely cut bait when it was time. And now he went out, got his own firm between him and his wife. And it's something that fits his vision, his goals, his wife's goals. They're one in the same. They probably have some differences, but for the most part, they're going to be one and the same. You have no competing endgame or toxic relationships to deal with. So congrats to both Jon and his wife. I mean, amazing job with this. And, obviously having an episode like we have right here, one of the main reasons Jon came on is I like to personalize stories. And I've said this a million times. When I bring somebody on the show, I want you to hear what that person has been through. And that's why the very first question of every interview is, hey, what you been doing? Who are you? What's your experience? What's your background? That's why I ask that, because it's not that I want them to have instant credibility with all of you, immediately. What I'm more looking for is I want to hear that unique perspective, that unique path that person had to take to get where they're at. Because to me, then, when I listen to the advice that they're giving me now as a successful serial entrepreneur, okay, it has a lot more value because I understand, I don't know every detail, but I have a good general sense of the path that he took to success and how he got there. It just weighs it down that much more. It makes it more valuable and also credible to me. Now, when we did bring him on, though, we brought him on for security. You remember, when you're working from home, your business is only going to be as strong as the weakest link. And some innocent click could really lead to ransomware or something like that can cost your business a ton of money. I mean, we're talking easily millions of dollars. Look at the Colonial Pipeline, for example. And they even had backups. but they didn't have a fast switch approach that they were able to, quickly able to leverage the cloud and, the cloud technology that's out there to be able to switch to those backup instantly. Cost them a lot of money, costing us money because gas went up because of it. And it's pretty crazy. So you got to remember, though, security isn't just in the ransomware or the insurance payments that go out. It's in the downtime as well, too. That's one of the biggest risks. That downtime, lack of production. And with that, I mean, it's hard to, if you can't bill as a business, you're not making money. I mean, you are stuck. It is a lose-lose situation. And I think that's where Jon gave us some excellent points of views from being not on the side of the business owner, but actually on the side that's on the receiving end of the phone calls. It has to field the phone calls from angry end users when they can't get their printer to print or their phone to dial out or whatever it may be. I really thought that his take on the digital transformation, work from home, some of the tech tips that he gave us during the pandemic, I mean, I think it was really cool hearing that all from somebody like him with his story that him and his wife have. It was awesome. I mean, it really just comes down to how can we be better prepared as we continue down this digital transformation journey. So, question of the day. What was your last help desk experience like? If you're like me and you call out somebody like T-Mobile, sorry T-Mobile, love you, but still, it probably drives you nuts. I said that I think during the interview. But I'd love to hear your experiences. Have you worked with an outsourced IT firm like the Purple Guys? Let's hear what your experience had been, pros, cons. Let's hear it. Leave a comment down below on YouTube. Remember, if you want to be in the show, you can send an email, interviews@sharkbitebiz.com. Also, 2 quick reminders, please join the channel. It's $3 a month. You can become a baby shark here on YouTube and support us, or head on over to deadhousecoffee.com. Use the code SHARK, get 20% off of your order, and all those proceeds help us grow. You all know this by now. I'm David Strausser. This is Shark Bite Biz. We'll see you all next episode. Ciao.
Thank you for listening to Shark Bite Biz. We hope you got some insightful info from this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us through your favorite podcast app and visit us on the web at www.sharkbitebiz.com. How has business changed for you in the 20s? Email us at podcast@sharkbitebiz.com so you can join us and share your story.